That's why I'm speaking out today for Daystar Peterson, better known to the world as Tory Lanez. This isn't about fame. It isn't about celebrity. It's about fairness. Tory Lanez doesn't want special treatment. He's demanding equal treatment. And if we Americans still believe in a system where guilty must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then we must admit this case raises serious concerns. Because the truth is, Tory Lanez is serving a 10-year sentence for a crime that evidence, which laid out here today, overwhelmingly suggests he did not commit. Let's go back to the night in question, just like Gianna was just talking about in the attorneys. As the attorneys laid out here today, the prosecution failed to produce a single shred of forensic evidence tying Tory to the actual gun. His fingerprints weren't on it. His DNA was later found to be 100% nearly excluded from the gun, as shown in the worksheet that was provided to the defense late on the eve of the actual trial, after making a request for that very document. After trial, looking at this evidence, there is a 0.01% chance Tory's DNA was on the firearm. That's a difficult statistic to equate with the story as told by the prosecution, which may be why this was not present in trial. In fact, there were 3 people that night at the scene who tested positive for gunshot residues. One of those was Kelsey Harris, as Gianno mentioned, the assistant to Megan Pete. According to multiple sworn testaments that you've heard today, including one from the bodyguard and driver with Harris on the 2 days of the trial, Harris admitted to firing the weapon during an emotional outburst. Tory intervened to de-escalate, not to harm. It is important to note, the police did not fingerprint anyone else who had gunshot residue on them that night, only Tory. Why? Even more troubling, the investigation itself was a disaster. Bullet fragments disappeared, the gun serial number was sealed, a move that blocked the defense from investigating ownership. Police failed to follow standard procedures. Why? Didn't mark shell casings on the road, and didn't test others involved that night with DNA. This wasn't justice. It was a rush to judgment. Worse still, the prosecution knew the case was thin. So what did they do? They tacked on gun enhancements, just like they spoke about. The charges, these gun enhancements are meant for gang shootouts and armed robberies to inflate the charges and turn a flimsy accusation into a decade-long prison sentence. Enhancements are a powerful tool against violent offenders, but using them in a case with no forensic evidence, murky testimony, and the defendant with no criminal history, that's very important to point out. He had no criminal history. That's not justice. That's a political stunt. Let's be blunt. This prosecution had everything to do with headlines and very little to do with truth. It was about symbolism, not substance. And that should concern every single one of you here today and in this country. Because when the facts take a back seat to identity, when due process is sacrificed for public spectacle, we all lose. Just yesterday, a Los Angeles court ruled the Menendez brothers, who brutally murdered their parents, are now eligible for parole after serving 35 years. They admitted to the crime. Tory Lanez, who killed no one and has still remained his innocent today, whose case is riddled with inconsistencies and prosecutorial failures, is expected to serve a decade? How is that justice? I've worked in federal criminal justice policy. I helped pass the First Step Act during President Trump's first term. I've spent years focusing on ending recidivism, building rehabilitation pipelines, and protecting the innocent from institutional overreach. I didn't fight for reform just to see the system weaponized against someone because he's famous or inconvenient. And let's be clear. If a high-profile black man with no prior violent convictions can be railroaded this easily, what hope is it for the everyday American who lacks his resources? Some people may want to dismiss this today as noise. But as a conservative, we are a movement that claims to care about over-criminalization, prosecutorial abuse, and restoring faith in American institutions. Well, here it is, laid bare in front of you. The prosecution manipulated the narrative. They buried key facts. They got the conviction they wanted, but not the truth we all deserve. As Gianno mentioned, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. warned us that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And this case proves it. If we let this stand, if we accept a conviction based on emotion rather than evidence, we abandon the very foundation of our system, that all men are innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The timing of these events raised disturbing questions to me, and I think they all should to you as well. After over 2 years in prison without incident, Tory was stabbed 14 times just days after a major national news outlet reached out to Megan Pete's team, Kelsey Harris, and former DA George Gascon about a story on new evidence in this case. You don't have to believe in conspiracies to see the pattern. When evidence was about to come to light, Tory was nearly killed. So let's stop pretending this is complicated. Let's stop treating this like some cultural war flashpoint. This is about a man, a father, a son, Daystar Peterson, who has sat in a prison cell for over a year based on a case that wouldn't pass the smell test in any honest courtroom. The prison system can no longer guarantee his safety, and that alone should be grounds for immediate action. But combine that with the overwhelming evidence of a botched investigation, and this becomes not just a legal issue, but a morale emergency. Tory Lanez deserves a new trial. He deserves due process. He deserves a pardon. And if justice still matters in America, he deserves to go home. So what now? What do we do now? We're all here today. We are calling on Governor Gavin Newsom, the California Attorney General, and the public at large to act. If you believe in due process, sign the petition now on the Caldwell Institute page that Gianno Caldwell mentioned at change.org. Let your voice be counted. Let the system know that we see what's happening and we won't stay silent. We can't be a nation that claims to value justice but looks the other way when a man is buried beneath the weight of political motivated prosecution. Dr. King said again, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This is that threat in modern day time. This is that moment. Daystar Peterson deserves to go home today. And we, the people, have a duty to bring him home. Thank you.